Is the Canadian housing correction over? Well, that just might be the case according to the Royal Bank of Canada, as home sales jumped 11.3% nationwide last month. And it appears that not just home sales, but also prices have increased in Toronto that same 11%, from $1,037,542 at the bottom to this month's $1,153,269. And here in my market of the Fraser Valley in BC, prices bottomed at $942,200 and now have risen $50,000 up to $992,000 when you combine all of the asset classes together. But before you bulls go out there and start clicking the like button for the YouTube algorithm, in April, inflation said, "Cool story, brah, hold my beer." And instead of decreasing to what TIFF had hoped would be 4.1%, it actually increased to 4.4% from 4.3% in March. The first increase we have seen since June of last year. And if you don't act now, there's a chance that CPI might actually outpace the rate of inflation of subscribers to this channel. And with inflation possibly back on the rise for the foreseeable future, that means the Bank of Canada might be forced to raise interest rates again as a result of a phenomenon called double dip inflation, mirroring exactly what happened in the late 70s and early 80s all over again. So what does this all mean for you? Should you hurry up and buy now, because if you don't, you'll never get into the market? Or should you wait for the inevitable crash to come and end up buying your property for pennies on the dollar? Well, if you really want to know the correct answer of exactly where the market is going, I'm going to clarify things once and for all of you here right now that are speculators hoping to get rich quick, and for the gloomy basement dwellers that are full of regret that they didn't buy during the last financial crash, or the one before that, or the one before that, or the one before. So here it is, and I can tell you with 100% certainty that for sure,
nobody knows but Jesus.
But I can tell you what we do know. Over time, the cost of real estate historically has always gone up. This could be because of the fact that, well, as Mark Twain said, buy land, they're not making it anymore. Or it could be as simple as the fact that people like to sleep inside. Or it could even be that the dollar is devaluing in relationship to the use of a particular property. 2, real estate in Canada generally increases 3 out of every 4 years. Knowing that historically you have a 72% chance that your value of your property will increase this year, and that you should never buy a property if you don't have a plan to own that home for at least 5 years. Because if you hit one of those years like 1981 or 2022, and you had some super smart plan about how real estate can only go up, well, there's a very good chance that the short-term plan to get rich quick could just bankrupt you. 3, no crash on record in my market has ever lasted more than 18 months before finding the new bottom. And so far, the crash of 2022 has conformed with history, as prices started to drop in March of last year and appear to have bottomed this last January. And as of this point, the likelihood of having 2 back-to-back years of losses in Canada is extremely low. However, you should be aware of the risks. 1, never bet on rates. If you're buying a property today and your plan depends on rates going down by the time you renew your mortgage or the time you close on that presale, well, that's simply just a bad plan. You should never make financial decisions on a wish that that decision is going to become cheaper down the road. 2, you have to acknowledge that government spending as a result of the pandemic has driven inflation to places never before seen in my economic lifetime. This means that just because the Bank of Canada has paused interest rate hikes, it doesn't mean that, well, we're out of the woods yet. And if inflation continues, there's a very good chance that the Bank of Canada may start increasing rates again soon. And that means you should continue saving as much as you possibly can while reducing any unnecessary spending. Because in order for rates to come down, things need to get a whole lot worse. And that means, number 3, you should be preparing for tough times. There's a very good chance that housing prices don't come down any further than now. And in fact, housing costs will only rise. Wages could continue to stagnate all at the same time, as costs of goods skyrocket. This means that if you don't take a hard look at your finances daily, you could easily be sunk in the future. So now, what can you do in this uncertain time of possible great gains or catastrophic losses? Well, first, make a budget and stick to it. People generally don't go broke on their housing costs. It's often other bad consumer spending that really makes or breaks them. Second, if you're thinking about buying a property, forget about trying to time the market. The plan should be to buy a property to live in or provide as rental housing to others, and try to buy as early in life as you possibly can. Because as Will Rogers once said, don't wait to buy land. Buy land and wait. And last, never buy on speculation of trying to make a buck. Rather, buy not only just when you can, but also when you have a need. And if you have a need now and you're looking in my market of Surrey and the Fraser Valley, well, you can go ahead and book a call with me right now using the link in the description below. Then subscribe to stay up to date on the market. Click the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and we'll see you in a couple of days.